It's a pleasure to have you on Business Incorporated on Channels Television. I am Bisi Adebayo. On today's show, Anglo-American lowers platinum production, reports 6% rise in total output for the third quarter of 2017. Plus, Ghana opens bids for $1.36 billion domestic bonds to settle energy sector debts. And Equatorial Guinea moves to stem the decline in its oil production. Well, let's get into it right away with the markets and stock markets in Africa, where Nigeria's offshore index is looking up with a 0.32% jump at intraday. The South African Boerse appears to be reversing Monday's gains as the GSA index is down 0.27%. Also at intraday in Egypt, the blue chip index gained 0.92%. The Kenyan market closed up 0.74% on Monday, even as citizens prepare to go back to the polls on Thursday to re-elect the president. And in the Middle East, Emir Properties and contractor Drake & Skoll helped Dubai's market to rebound in early trade on Tuesday as the Dubai index rose 0.64%. Builder Drake & Skoll was the most heavily traded stock there, and it added 1%. In Saudi Arabia, the index declined 0.09% at midday. In Abu Dhabi, the index edged down 0.05% as Etisalat lost 0.3% in heavy trade. Qatar's index was down 0.09%. And in Europe, the markets were slightly lower early today as composite purchasing managers index for the Eurozone dropped to 55.9 in October, and that's down from 56.7 in September. Investors are also reacting to the news that the Deutsche Boerse CEO suffered a court setback in the insider trading case over share purchases. Well, Daniel Koop is standing by at the Frankfurt Stock Exchange to tell us more. It's good to see you, Daniel. So a court in Frankfurt has rejected a deal to drop charges of insider trading against Carsten Kenteger, who's the head of the Deutsche Boerse. What does this mean for him and the company, which is running Germany's biggest stock exchange in Frankfurt?
Yeah, hi there from Frankfurt. Well, most likely not a very good mood for Mr. Kengeter. I didn't see him in the cafeteria earlier, but you can be very sure that those are not good news for him at all. We remember when the German stock exchange here in Frankfurt, the Frankfurt Stock Exchange, wanted to purchase and wanted to merge with the London Stock Exchange. By that time, during this period, Mr. Kengeter, that's what at least the court is saying, was buying lots of shares here of the Frankfurt Stock Exchange. We know at the end that the marriage didn't even work, but of course those actions, that's what the court is calling insider trading. Now the court is saying that they are not agreeing to the settlement worth of more than 10 million euros. A very unlikely case, a very unusual case, though, when you talk to lawyers who are very firm in this area. Normally, in 9 out of 10 cases, a court agrees to this sort of settlement. In this case, the court is saying that the case has such a big importance that they are not seeing a way to get and to avoid basically a trial. So now what's going to happen? Mr. Kengeter will be in front of a jury here in Frankfurt with possible a verdict, but of course also an acquittal at the end. For him, not good news, because also his contract is due in March 2018. We are also hearing that the BaFin, that's the authority here in Germany overseeing all banks and financial institutions, is also doing right now an investigation if he is still reliable to do this, very important job. And also with an open trial still going on, it's not very likely that there's going to be a new contract for him next year.
Now, staying with Germany, where you are now, the financial world is bidding farewell to the German finance minister Wolfgang Schäuble, who leaves office to become the new president of the German parliament. Are people where you are glad or sad to see him leave?
Well, Wolfgang Schäuble, many people here, many investors, they always call him the grumpy old man, which doesn't really sound nice. But on the other hand, I think they are going to be sad that he is leaving. He is not a very easy person to handle, very highly respected also among other foreign leaders. I remember Alexis Tsipras, the Prime Minister of Greece, saying one day that he was even very proud when Wolfgang Schäuble offered, Mr. Tsipras, that he actually could call him Wolfgang. So he is very well recognized for his knowledge. And of course, it's not really an open secret. He wanted to continue his job. He was elected just a few moments ago, and now as the head, the president of the German parliament. But now with this new coalition in Germany, the other party that's going to be in the coalition with Chancellor Angela Merkel wants to have the finance minister position. So that's why he is not anymore in this job. He did get many of his reforms, many of his plans too. He was, of course, the big voice during the financial crisis that we saw here in Europe, also being very strict with countries, like Greece, as I just mentioned. He didn't get all his reforms, though, through. Just like many investors, he has been asking for a very long time for higher interest rates here in the Eurozone. And right now we are still at this 0% interest rate policy in the Eurozone.
Now, just before you go, Daniel, the Eurozone PMI data is seen pointing towards continued growth in the fourth quarter. And, of course, we know this comes just 2 days before the European Central Bank's rate meeting, where it's widely expected that the central bank will unwind stimulus. How will all this play out on the markets in the coming days?
Well, the European economy still in general is doing very well, still doing very strong. When you compare the numbers, though, that we are getting from the PMI index right now, it's a little bit slower when you compare it to September. The PMI index, for example, here from Germany was dropping to 55.9 points. That's about 0.8 points less as we saw it in September. A similar picture we are seeing among other European countries as well. Experts are saying that this is not really because of the industry that's in any way getting slower. It's mostly because of the situation that we are seeing right now in Europe, not really strong when you talk, for example, about Spain. And also the other index that we are seeing is regarding the inflation rate that is now kind of at this point where the ECB actually is wanting to have the rate of the inflation. So all the eyes will be on Mario Draghi on Thursday, because his argument always for this very low interest rate, this 0% interest rates that we are seeing here in the Eurozone, was always because of the inflation. Now it seems that he is not going to have this excuse anymore. Let's see what he's going to say on Thursday.
Yes, indeed, Daniel. Thanks a lot for those updates, and do enjoy the rest of your day.